Welcome everyone, join us today as we discover the life and legacy of Chris Norman. From a family steeped in show business, to becoming the unmistakable voice of Smokie, and a successful solo artist in his own right. So let's dive in. Christopher Ward Norman, born the 25th of October 1950, in Redcar, North Yorkshire, England. Growing up in a show business family going back 2 generations, Chris's grandparents toured their own concert party around England during the First World War. Their daughter Pat, Chris's mother, joined a dance troupe when she left school. His father Pip Norman performed in a dancing and comedy act called The Four Jokers, working all over Europe in the 1930s and 1940s and even earning a British Royal Variety Performance credit, the kind of high-profile booking that tells you exactly how established the act was. Chris's early childhood followed the road. His parents' work meant the family moved often, and he would eventually attend 9 different schools across places including Redcar, Luton, Kimpton and Nottingham before the family settled back in his mother's home city of Bradford. Those constant moves exposed him to a lot of people and music, and by the time he arrived at St. Bede's Grammar School in Bradford, he had already developed serious musical intent. He got his first guitar at 7, and his formative influences were the early rock and roll giants, Elvis Presley, Little Richard, Buddy Holly and Lonnie Donegan, and then, as the 1960s took hold, the Beatles and Bob Dylan. That combination of rock and roll energy, harmony pop, and lyric-driven folk would later shape the sound that made him famous. In Bradford, school friendships became bandmates. At St. Bede's, Chris met Alan Silson, and soon Terry Utley joined them. With drummer Ron Kelly, they began rehearsing and taking any stage they could find. Like most teenage bands in the 1960s, they tried on multiple names, the Yen, Essence, Longside Down and, by 1968, the Elizabethans, complete with frilled shirts and sharp suits. They were learning the trade, building parts, singing, tightening arrangements, and figuring out how to move a crowd. 1968 was pivotal when the group turned professional and began touring all over the UK throughout the late 1960s and early 1970s. Small halls, ballrooms, colleges, rough nights and great nights, all of it building stamina and chemistry. After early demo efforts, they signed a first record contract in 1970 with RCA, changing their name to Kindness. The double A-side single, Lindy Lou, and Light of Love, appeared that year. In February 1972 they issued 3 more Kindness singles for Decca, Let the Good Times Roll, Oh Yeah, and Make It Better. None broke big, but the band were now a working, recording unit. In this period they even toured as Peter Noon's backing band, the former Herman's Hermits singer, sharpening their act in front of real audiences night after night. There were line-up tweaks as well, with drummer Ron Kelly leaving in 1973, and Pete Spencer, an old school friend, joining the group. Manager Bill Hurley introduced them to the hit-making team Nicky Chin and Mike Chapman, known as Chinachap. That meeting would change everything. By 1974 the band had developed its own sound, close 3-part harmonies and Chris's distinctive lead, wrapped in a guitar rock bed, a blend people sometimes described as somewhere between Crosby, Stills and Nash and Creedence Clearwater Revival. They now rebranded as Smokie, quickly adjusted to Smokie with an IE on the end, to avoid confusion with Smokey Robinson, and signed to Mickey Most's Rack Records. Their debut album, Pass It Around, arrived in 1975. As Chris later noted, they originally weren't focused on pop singles, which is why the back cover of Pass It Around was styled to make them look folk and rocky rather than glam, a subtle cue about how they saw themselves then. Although Pass It Around didn't make an immediate commercial splash, it set the tone for the future. That same year, their fortunes changed dramatically with the release of If You Think You Know How to Love Me. Written by Chin and Chapman, the song became their first major hit, reaching number 3 in the UK and charting across Europe and Australia. It was followed by another hit, Don't Play Your Rock and Roll to Me, which climbed to number 8, and their second album, Changing All the Time, cemented Smokie's breakthrough. By 1976, their fame had gone international. Their third album, Midnight Cafe, produced a succession of hits including Something's Been Making Me Blue, Wild Wild Angels, and I'll Meet You at Midnight. The band's mix of melodic pop hooks and country rock sensibility resonated deeply with audiences, particularly in Germany, the Netherlands, and Scandinavia, where they became chart regulars. Then came Living Next Door to Alice, a single that would define their career. Released in November 1976, it soared to number 5 in the UK, topped the charts in Australia, Ireland, Norway, Switzerland, and Germany, and went on to sell millions of copies worldwide. Smokie's name was now synonymous with polished, heartfelt storytelling, the kind of soft rock that spoke to millions. Their popularity brought relentless touring schedules. Smokie performed throughout Europe, Australia, and South Africa, and became frequent guests on major television programs like Top of the Pops, Disco, and Musikladen. Their live performances were praised for their precision and their ability to reproduce studio harmonies flawlessly on stage. In 1977, they released Bright Lights and Back Alleys, featuring the hits, It's Your Life, and Needles and Pins. The album reflected a slightly edgier sound, influenced by their constant exposure to live audiences and the maturing songwriting partnership within the group. Smokie were evolving, no longer just a singles band, but a cohesive musical unit whose albums told full stories. By 1978, the band's European stardom reached its peak with the release of the Montreux album, recorded in Switzerland. It included the hit, Mexican Girl, which reached number 5 in the UK and topped charts in Germany. They continued to explore new sounds, even recording German-language versions of some of their hits, further cementing their fanbase in that region. Also in 1978, Chris Norman recorded a duet with Suzi Quatro, titled, Stumbling In. The song became an international smash, hitting number 4 on the US Billboard Hot 100 and selling over 1 million copies. It marked Chris's first solo success and foreshadowed what was to come. In 1979, Smokie released The Other Side of the Road, featuring Do To Me, another hit that performed strongly across Europe, especially in Germany. The group's popularity remained immense, with audiences packing out venues across the continent. Yet behind the scenes, years of relentless touring and changing musical trends began to take their toll. By the early 1980s, the members began to seek new directions. Smokie had achieved what few British soft rock bands managed, sustained international success, a loyal global fanbase, and a sound that became the soundtrack of an era. When Chris eventually decided to move on, it was on his own terms. As the decade progressed, Chris started spending more time in the studio writing and experimenting with new ideas. He wanted to develop a sound that was more personal, less tied to the Smokie formula and more reflective of his own influences. After nearly 2 decades together, he officially left the group in 1986 to pursue a solo career. Before departing, he personally recommended Alan Barton as his replacement, ensuring that Smokie could continue performing for their loyal fanbase without interruption. Chris's solo career took off immediately with Midnight Lady in 1986, a song co-created with Dieter Bohlen. It was a massive European hit, spending 6 weeks at number 1 in Germany and selling in huge numbers. He quickly followed with more successful singles, Some Hearts Are Diamonds, No Arms Can Ever Hold You, Broken Heroes, Fearless Hearts, Sarah, and Baby I Miss You. Over the decades, Chris has released around 22 solo albums and registered 21 hit singles, with over 20 million records sold worldwide across Smokie and solo, a career total quoted by his official materials and consistently echoed across profiles. In 1994, CMT Europe named him International Video Star of the Year for the videos Jealous Heart, The Growing Years, and Red Hot Screaming Love. That same year he formed a new band and returned to the road after a 6-year break, beginning the long phase of steady touring that continues today. Through the 2000s, Chris remained a top live draw in Germany, Eastern Europe and Scandinavia, releasing studio albums and live sets at a consistent pace. Some titles across these years include Full Circle, Million Miles, Time Traveler, Crossover, and Don't Knock the Rock. On a personal note, Chris met the love of his life Linda, in Elgin, Scotland, during a small tour stop in 1968. They married on the 16th of March 1970, and have 5 children, Brian, Paul, Michael, Stephen and Susan Jane, and the family's longtime home base is the Isle of Man. Through decades of touring, releases, and reinventions, their stability has remained a constant, with the couple's enduring relationship a rarity in the entertainment industry. In recent years, the 2010s and 2020s have been prolific years for Chris. Far from slowing down, he has continued writing, recording, and performing to audiences across Europe and beyond. In 2021, he released JustAMan, a brand new album written and recorded with his longtime mentor and friend Mike Chapman, of Chinna Chap fame. Chapman's songwriting and production legacy spans a who's who of international stars: Blondie, Tina Turner, The Knack, Sweet, Suzi Quatro, Smokie, and many others. The project reunited the pair after decades, blending Chapman's polished pop craftsmanship with Chris's unmistakable vocals and heartfelt lyricism. Then, in 2024, Chris unveiled Junction 55, another ambitious album featuring 12 new songs, all either written solely by Chris or in collaboration with old friends. 3 tracks were co-written with Pete Spencer, 2 with Jeff Carline, and 1 with Mike Chapman, with the remaining songs penned by Chris himself. The title Junction 55 symbolizes both a new phase in his artistic life, and the fact that it marks 55 years since he first turned professional. Recorded and produced in Chris's own studio, the album showcases timeless melodies, strong harmonies, and a maturity of songwriting that comes only from a lifetime spent making music. These tracks highlight the qualities that have always defined him: a pure melodic instinct, lyrical sincerity, and a voice still rich with warmth and power. Alongside these new releases, Chris has remained a high-profile live performer. His concerts throughout the late 2010s included Rendezvous, Jermala, in 2017, and White Nights, in St. Petersburg, 2019, both reaffirming his continuing popularity and cross-generational appeal. Even now, he remains a major draw across Europe, particularly in Germany, Scandinavia, and the Baltics, where audiences still fill venues to hear the songs that have become part of their musical landscape. Today, Chris Norman continues to write, make music, and tour, supported by a catalog that spans Smokie's timeless classics, and decades of solo chart toppers. And there you have it. From Smokie's golden years, to a solo career filled with timeless hits, Chris Norman's music continues to inspire audiences around the world. His warmth, humility, and talent have earned him generations of adoring fans, and his legacy shines brighter with every passing year. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more videos on your favorite artists, just like this. Take care and bye for now.